Okay, so now we have a situation brewing between R&B veteran India Arie and
Ah,
some criticisms that she has levied towards some of today's modern female hip hop entertainers.
okay.
Let's just say black music, because Janelle Monae is not like a rapper or anything
Mm-mm.
like that. I don't know if you would consider Megan Thee Stallion to be a rapper,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
These days we're so loosey goosey with these standards. I can't keep up anymore. But yeah, so India Arie is sort of throwing flames at the way that some of these entertainers conduct themselves, mainly with the way that they present themselves, flaunting their bodies, the way that they dress on stage, the twerking and all of that kind of stuff. So India Arie has had some interesting things to say, specifically in regards to Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae. And people, similar to the way people are going to criticize you if you say hip hop is trash or these rappers are trash, they're going to say you're old. Uh, Similarly, people who think that India Arie says stuff like this, they kind of think she's out of touch and she's old and she just needs to let them live and do whatever they want, because that's what we want. That's what we want, is for everybody to just do whatever they want. So India Arie, of course, is too old school to allow herself to be sequestered into mincing her words. This is a piece that we picked up from TMZ. India Arie is responding to the criticism that is being levied against her for criticizing Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae. So this says India Arie dragged for blasting Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae. Let them live a bit. India Arie doesn't like the fact Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae show off a lot of skin during their performances, but that criticism has the internet ripping her as a boomer. The veteran neo soul singer issued a scathing rebuke of the two artists' live show choices, namely their tendency to bare their bodies on stage, which was again on display this past weekend during Essence Festival, where both Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae grabbed the mic. So you can see here, this is a this is a video via Twitter.
Now, before you continue, let me give the YouTube moderators a little something real quick. Now, this is a part. This is part of an official stage performance. Plus, she's got nipple pasties on, so there was no real actual areola action there. And then here, where we're seeing ass clapping about to occur again, a part of an official stage performance. She's wearing sheer clothes and a thong, so this is all good. So you can carry on, bro. I just had to throw
Yeah,
that in
yeah, appreciate that. And so yeah, India Arie doesn't like that. And Janelle Monae, for anyone who has not follow her, she has talked often about how being naked and being nudity is something to her that's just kind of regular.
there.
She talks about how she's in her freest, most authentic state when she is the least amount of when she is wearing less and less clothing. If it were up to her, she'd be walking around naked all the time. She doesn't even really like wearing clothes like that. So, just to give you an idea of the ideology of Janelle Monae, why she would do that on stage, she don't care about being naked. And furthermore, for anyone who does not know, Janelle Monae actually does not identify as a woman. She's like non-binary, so she identifies as like they or them, not she or her. So that just gives you some perspective on, there's some correlation with some of these behaviors so that it just doesn't catch you off guard. uh, and then the article goes on to say their respective sets went viral. In Janelle's case, it was because she ended up flashing the audience, revealing her right breast, which had a nipple pasty. She's had a habit lately of dropping her top, but has said she feels comfortable in her own skin. So that is that part. As for Meg, she didn't really do anything too crazy, just a little twerking of her booty, which she always incorporates in her routines and for which she's kind of become famous because that's really the only thing that she's good at. So yeah, here's and I'm not even gonna keep showing that because that's all that is just her doing that. So the article continues. In any case, India wasn't feeling the perceived peep show they put on, and she sounded off about it on Instagram, saying, quote, "The issue is what is context. Humanity does everything, but does everything belong in a stage? No. Is everything for kids? No." So I'll just go ahead and read India Arie's post here. It says, "The issue is what is context. Humanity does everything, but what does everything belong? But does everything belong in a stage? No. Is everything for kids? No. Is everything for everybody? No." So when we as a culture make something like this mainstream, it shows a lack of discretion and discernment. There's a typo there, but it meant in discernment. To those in the comments who laugh at anyone who wants these things for our culture, you certainly have that right. Just as many folks have the right to want our mainstream international export, our music, to show us in a respectful light. I'd like to go on the record saying this won't age well, and that's my issue. I love Janelle and Meg the way I love us all, and I don't like this moment. Don't bother debating me. LOL, I don't care. And I do this. For 25 years, I've done this. So read, ponder, or don't. So there you go. So that was India Arie's clap back to people who are coming at her for saying that she's, you know, making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not a big deal just because she flashed a breast or twerks on stage, whatever. So, what do you think of what India Arie had to say about Megan Thee Stallion and Janelle Monae, or just generally speaking, this particular form of entertainment?
I mean, I agree with her, but similar to the last topic, man, she's just sound like an old head and a hater and somebody that is just trying to tear black people down. That's unfortunately that's what she's gonna get labeled as for saying these things that honestly is just common sense. When all day and night, where you're hollering up and down how people don't respect you as a culture and as a people, and every day you get insulted by people not taking you seriously, but then on stage you revel in people doing things that nobody else does these things. Yeah, you'll see white people do stuff here and there, that's fair. The Madonnas of the world, the Lady Gagas, you'll have them. But for the most part, it's not, if we want to chop it down into percentages, it's not over 50% of their artists doing it, but it's over 50% of ours doing it. And so when Janelle Monae, who had, I used to like some of her songs when she first came out. I thought she was being creative and pushing the envelope in music in directions that I didn't see anybody else in her cohort doing. So I supported her in her unique way of viewing the world. Then, because she was into like robots and stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I'm sure that robot stuff plays into this non-binary thing where she just, I'm nothing. I'm just, okay, whatever. Janelle, whatever. So now all of a sudden, because she know what her body looked like,
Right. Yeah.
and so she's playing this whole card of just showing her bodies and showing her assets nowadays. I ain't gonna lie, but I'll be looking at the Google images every once in a while whenever something happens. And then when I saw this, and she says, get off my areola, and then lifts up her top. And I go, what does that even mean, get off her areola in the first place? And then on top of that, how unsexy or how like that didn't even look right. It looked forced. And it's just like, yeah, so I'm gonna put this in my song just so I can show my titties on stage. That's what it felt like. And that's what it looked like. So to me, this whole thing plays into what we talked about in our last topic, where music has, you know, turned into this, our music, for whatever reason, has turned into this degenerate art form where everything has to be either hypersexualized or criminal. And so for the women here, both of them are doing the hypersexual thing now, to just for the sake of doing it, because that's what we do as artists, which and it's not. And so so the direction has turned our women into doing this. I mean, they grew up listening to all that rap, saying that, you know, uh, bitches ain't shit, and you can't trust no hoe. All those lyrics that those guys were just dunking on women, dunking on women. I mean, they were in the club dancing to those songs too, guys. So they got all of this crap from us.
They still are. They're still in there dancing to it.
Yeah. And so they got all
Yeah.
this stuff from us. And so we were out there, and I'm not putting blame on men because there's a whole systemic thing behind who was pushing that stuff in the clubs and radio stations anyway. But I'm just saying that that whole misogynistic form of music that was being propagated by these labels and stuff in the early 90s and whatever, that stuff got into the minds and the psyches of both men and women, children and men. And so now the children of this, the Megan the Stallions and all these people are just out here just saying, hey, this is what y'all wanted anyway, right? Strippers popping ass, right? I got what you need, you know? And then, oh, I got what y'all need. So what? I'm going to finesse y'all for it because I'm out here trapping. And all the girls like, yeah, girl, go get them. Yeah, yeah, because they tried to play you first. Yeah, because bitches ain't shit in the first place. Money over bitches. So when you got this whole rhetoric, we got this whole rhetoric going, naturally, you have created an enemy out of nowhere. And so now we've created this monster known as thought rap and all this stuff that's going on with these girls out here, 304 culture, popping box on stage. And that's the move. So these things here, I mean, it's like over time, this thing has grown into this monstrosity. And so India Arie, somebody that's from a previous generation who has a clear mindset that just goes, okay, this is garbage, teach their own. Everybody has their own thing that they like or whatever. I'm not here to judge nobody, but goddamn, this is stupid. And it's sad that she would have to sit there and respond to saying that this is degrading our people. So a lot to say there. This thing's all over the place, but I agree with Miss Arie here. I think that our music, whether it's R&B, pop, or rap, our women are degrading themselves now. And at one point, when I was a younger man, I might have wanted to see this world, but that's when I was being young and ignorant. Yeah, that's when I was being young and ignorant. But now, actually growing up and knowing the consequences of life and knowing what's really going on, I see how detrimental this type of behavior is, and it doesn't help our community at all. So, what about you, sir? Do you agree with Miss Arie here, or do you think she's overblowing this, and she needs to just get with the times?
You know, instead of using age as something to denigrate an individual, can we try to use age as something to listen to what an individual has to say and respect where they're coming from?
That makes more
Like,
sense.
can we try that at some point? Let's just give it a try and see how it works out. Because maybe someone with age has a perspective that you aren't privy to because you haven't lived as long as they have. Like, wisdom is a thing. I know that we really do, particularly when it comes to the ecosystem around this particular culture. We want to get rid of you as soon as you hit 35. We want to throw you out. It's worse than professional sports. Because at least in professional sports, they respect your contributions and are willing to give you a veteran league minimum contract that's still worth millions of dollars. When it comes to this music, this black art and culture, this black music, they just want to get rid of you as soon as you hit 35 plus, as if you just shouldn't even exist anymore. And not only should we no longer pay attention to the product that you put out, but we also shouldn't even listen to what you have to say on stuff because you're
Yeah,
just old.
yeah,
Well, why is it that what they're saying doesn't make sense? Because they're old. Like, that's not even a reasonable retort to the question. You're just saying, oh, they're old. It's ridiculous. But this is a generational thing. This is back when my parents were young and their parents didn't want them walking out of the house in a dress or a skirt that didn't go past their knees.
hmm.
Like, remember back then? So like that's what like my mother and like my older relatives had to contend with. Don't walk out of the house if your dress don't go past your knees, or if your skirt don't go past your knees. You know, Why do you have to wear high heels every time you got to go on a date, blah blah blah. So this is that on steroids in 2023, where it's like now it's not a point of don't go out of the house with your skirt past your knees. It's, get on stage and just be a stripper, even though you're not a stripper, but still retain the right to call out people who criticize you for behaving in that exact manner. See, that's where I think that. See, I agree with India Arie, but where I draw the line at, see, I think India Arie is looking at this altruistically, and
Mhm.
India Arie is saying it all needs to go away. And I
Mhm.
don't blame her for having that perspective because, in essence, I agree with that too. But I have given up on that. I know it's not all going to go away. So my thing is, can we please have some consistency? And just be honest when we actually broach these particular kinds of subjects. Do not come to me demanding respect and wanting to not be perceived to be a stripper or a sex worker in general, or at the very least be perceived as someone who is synonymous with being a sexual object, when your entire persona and the entire personality that you've curated yourself through the music that you put out and how you present yourself publicly is that of a sexual object or a sex worker. Pick one. Either be Alicia Keys and be known for your talent, your musical talent, and your art, or be Megan Thee Stallion and be known for somebody who has a big butt and shakes her ass on stage and barely no clothes. But this in between nexus society that we're trying to create, where everything is fair game and people can just do whatever they want, that's not gonna fly. Because that's why people like India Arie come out of the woodwork with the criticisms that they have. Let's just have people occupy a lane and stay in it. Megan Thee Stallion will be offended if you treat her like a stripper, even though publicly what she acts like is a stripper. Now, in her private life, does she carry herself that way? Maybe not. I don't know her personally, but I know that if that is the case, then shame on her for portraying herself publicly that way when she really knows that privately she is not that way. And I would say that's egg on her face for being a conformist and not wanting to be courageous enough to carve a lane for herself in which she's known as an actual artist and not as a big booty twerking rapper. No one cares about Megan Thee Stallion's lyrics. I don't. I don't know a single person who actually does like new hip hop that cares about her lyrics. They just care about the fact that she's a bad bitch, whatever the hell that means. Her music has no merit, though. So, how about we do this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, people who want to criticize India Arie for her comments? Let's just let everything be a spade. Megan Thee Stallion publicly is a sex worker who happens to rap from time to time. Same thing with the rest of these rappers, if you want to call them that. Cardi B goes in that boat as well. Nicki Minaj goes in that boat, even though they're kind of OGs at this point. Sweetie goes in that boat. Lotto goes in that boat. Coyle Ray goes in that boat. Glorilla goes in that boat. Erica Banks goes in that boat. All of the city girls go in that boat. This music that y'all love so much. There's this new chick who has this horribly, ridiculously disrespectful ratchet song about pound town pound cake, whatever the name of this terrible
Oh
song is.
yeah.
Some ratchet rapper, some ratchet female talking about her baby needs a new daddy and pay me for this and pay me for that, and I'm in Miami. Just bad music all the way around. Horrible representations for these women out here who will listen to this stuff but turn around and say, well, she ain't it's the remember the classic, it's a Chris Rock bit, classic shit, where he's talking about this, and this was like 20 years ago. And he says, this music is confusing. These rappers, these women go out to the club and they dance to this music and they know all the words and they rap to it. But the second that you come to them on some real shit, because you believe that they're about that life because they know all the music, they stop and they look at you and say, well, he ain't talking about me.
Mhm.
Like back in the day when it was mostly a male dominated field. And so all of the male rappers was talking about bitches this, hoes that, tricks this, bitches ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. These women were rapping along to all of these songs,
Mm-hmm.
dancing to it, all of it. And and the joke was, I come to you on this because you rapping about this stuff. And the DJ calls out the women for being on this music stuff, rapping these lyrics that are openly mocking and disrespecting them. And the women all stop to say, well, he ain't talking about me, as if that's some sort of weird reconciliation that grants you permission to be able to enjoy this stuff. Maybe it is you, ma'am, miss, whatever you want. Maybe it is you. Maybe Janelle Monae is just what she is. Maybe she is. Let's stop trying to create this weird thing where you're this respectable member of society, but you're still moonlighting as this sexual object.
Moonlight.
Like maybe like it's like let's just be honest. Maybe some of y'all want to revel in being a sexual object. And it is what it is. And if that's the case, then I think India Arie's comments deserve a place to be heard without her being criticized for being old, as if that somehow makes what she said not true. It's like when people get mad. It's like when NBA players get mad at Charles Barkley and say his opinion doesn't matter because he never won a championship. As if Charles Barkley's lack of winning a championship has any bearing on whether his opinion was right or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, India Arie is older. Does that mean that what she said is wrong or false or somehow incorrect? No. You just want to derail the conversation and do a redirect to make it about the fact that she's old. Is what she said true? Yes or no? It absolutely is true. So just call a spade a spade. Stop trying to make noble creatures out of some of these people. Maybe some of these women just want to be sexual objects. And let's let the chips fall where they may. The ones who want to be known for their talent, who can play all the instruments and hit all the notes and sing, and maybe do a dance routine that doesn't involve them popping ass on stage, they have a lane. And then people like this have a lane, and they're just sexual objects. And everything else can everything else can be categorized the way that it ought to be. But other than that, I think that I agree with India Irie. It is what it is. It is what it is. So stop trying to make it something that is not.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is where we're at. Uh, this is, to me, this is chickens coming home to roost for everybody that were in the early 2000s, late 90s, that were just, shrugging all this stuff off as just entertainment. It wasn't. And now look at the children of that stuff. They're out of their damn minds and they don't see anything wrong with it. They love it. And you say, well, how can you love this? It's so one dimensional, so limited. This is their whole reality. And you can't tell them nothing. These new rappers, you try to tell Megan Thee Stallion and any of her minions, that this is degrading you. She's gonna be like, what do you mean degrading? But her whole, when she grew up in the era of slut walks and in the era of, air quote women empowerment, where it was just basically just be loose sexually. They don't see anything wrong with this. And they said, well, men were always doing this, so why can't we? They feel like the propaganda is so thick with this stuff that it plays on all of the things that women always said that they wanted, a sense of independence, sense of sexual liberation, a sense of not being dependent on a man, and a sense of, feeling like you're weaker than him. So that's where all of this taking their power back, finessing the man thing comes from. That's a form of them taking back power and control. And so they feel like this is their time, this is their season. But what they don't realize, see, they think they're on a cutting edge. But what they're missing is no other community of women does this. Now, and the last one I was talking about, well, no, I think it was this one, but I was just saying that, you don't see women, but I said the Lady Gagas and the Madonnas or whatever,
Mhm.
but in mass, we see our women doing this in mass. bro. And you see I don't see duplicates of Lady Gaga when I go to a bar. Man, it's white night, so I don't see women with their titties out like that. They be having their titties out, but they don't be having the Lady Gaga stuff going on.
Right.
I can go to a club, random club, hole in the wall. This ain't even the biggest place in town where you got to be dressing, like you're on the runway. You'll still see women with fishnet stuff on, sheer this, and they naked. They're just showing up naked. And it's like, hey, well, what is this? But they think it's empowering to show up nude somewhere. Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. But this is going on in mass with our women. So, so of course, it's clearly not all of us, all of our women, but it's happening at a rate that you can't just say this happened by happenstance. Excuse me. This to me, this is a product of products being pushed on our youth for decades. And when your children are just consuming commercialism, they turn out with these multicolored hair twerking machines.
Yeah.
And people's like, oh well, again, don't hate on her. She doing her thing. She's a boss bitch. Or whatever, and you just mad at her because she get into the bag and you not. Oh, they're gonna come up with all kinds of shenanigery to say why I'm hating on this stuff. But deep down, when you talk to any twerker, a lifelong twerker, lifelong sex worker, and you sit down and you talk to them, these people aren't enjoying their existences. It's not much power you can get out of somebody plowing you for whatever, throwing throwing something worthless at you like money and saying, hey, good job. And you can say you're reclaiming whatever you want. Your bank account could look however it looks, but at the end of the day, there's still this, and it's not even like, I don't want to say like moral shame, but there's still this level of, what are you, a hole for money, or are you a person? And right now, these girls are being brainwashed and conditioned to be sex workers. I mean, this is I don't believe this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, if you talk to, I don't even know what a middle school, high school, or these young kids when they growing up, hey brothers, I don't know what y'all got to deal with, because the name of the game now literally is to be a sex worker. I mean, they're making it popular and cool.
It's normalized. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I guess in our generation where we got our knuckleheads claiming to be thugs and gangsters, and they thugging and gangstering so hard that they'll snitch on themselves in an interview on the internet and then use that to get themselves indicted. I think the next thing that we're going to see is actual residue from actual sex workers coming up next, in the next little pocket of whatever, where women are actually going, hey, I did it. It's stupid. You're starting to hear some of the BBL women come out, and tell, people know.
And
But
and not to cut you off, but you're starting to see some of these OnlyFans chicks do
that's
that
right.
too.
That's
Where
right.
they're like, I regret that decision. I shouldn't have done it. It messed my life up.
That's right. So I think you're gonna start seeing the fruits of this show up not too far from now, because it seems like because this has been going on for a while, but I think it's really hit its apex like right now. Like this, like honestly, bro, I don't know what this planet is gonna look like in 100 years, but this stuff should still be on record. People are gonna look back and go, wow, those people were absolute animals. And they thought it was empowering to tap into their animal side just because it was natural for them to feel. But didn't they know they were animals in the first place? And what makes us better than animals is the fact that we don't just react off mere instinct, that we can actually think and calculate and go, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't hump, that wall over there. But now, man, hey, man, people are doing anything. And now
Mhm.
when people are going to start, with sex bots, they're going to be humping sex bots because they can't control their animal desires. So, yeah, man, in a nutshell, it's just like you always mention, it's social anarchy. It's basically hell. Everybody just live, do whatever you want. That's
It's
what
a
they're putting.
free for all. It's a free for all. That's
Like
what people want is a free for all.
once we
Yeah.
once we really get you can ask these liberal people, what do you really want? The liberal utopia is hell. It's going to be any kind of sex you want, any kind of drug you want to use, what you want to name yourself, what you want to identify as, you know, everything goes. That's literally
Well,
hell.
really, what they don't even want you to be able to. They wanted to just be humans having sex with humans. They don't even want you to. They don't even want our genders identified. They just want you to just human, and that's it. Yeah.
No, bro. Why stop at humans? Like, let's really get there. Because they're gonna say, hey, oh wait, whoa, you're a doll affiliate. You love dolls? Oh well, that's a don't judge him. So it's not just humans. They want you to just have sex with anything. It got a hole in it. Have sex with it. Hey, I have this weird obsession with donuts. Oh, bro, hey man, just go ahead and have sex. They got a hole, don't it? They go thrust away. You know what I'm saying? That's not cream cheese in your bagel, sir. All right, so
Oh man.
y'all better slow down out here, man. This is a crazy world we're living in, dog. So I know everybody here at the Conscious Approach, we can have a good time with this, man. But be mindful, man, that the people that you go to work with, the people you send your people that your kids go to school with, you know what I'm saying? They ain't all cut from the same cloth, and they don't have the same type of values that you have, man. So we talk like this here, we kick the shit here, man. But we all know that the mainstream it's got its issues. So just steer clear, man. Just steer clear and enjoy the show as much as you can. You know.
Yeah, the mainstream's tendrils are definitely locked into the people, that's for sure. Hey man, and look, I'm old and I don't care because I think India Arie is right. But I stopped short of I'll stop short of saying it needs to go away entirely because I think that that's impractical.
Yeah.
For me, I just look at it and I say, let's just call things for what they are. Stop selling me a sex worker, like you said, as an empowered person, an empowered individual, man, woman, whatever. Don't give me a dope dealer is a dope dealer, whatever. However you feel about, these these rappers who rap about, weight and coke and selling drugs and doing drugs, popping pills, all of that kind of stuff. My whole thing is get off your high horse with trying to package that and sell it to me as they're this noble entrepreneur or this above board noble businessman. Like, I mean, he's just doing what he's doing. And it is what it is. And I think for people like Megan Thee Stallion or anyone else, any of the litany of those other artists that I mentioned, they it's one of two things. Either they actually are modern day sex workers who happen to have a microphone in their face, or they're actually private, more reasonable people, but publicly they portray themselves as sex workers. Either one of those, in my opinion, is not good because
Yeah.
either you're a sex worker on purpose or
Right.
you're a sex worker because you're too afraid to be who you really want to be. Either
Right.
one of those to me is not good or redeemable. So I just say let's call a spade what a spade. It is what it is.